how to make it work.
Yeah, big questions here going to have to be answered by BREN. They need to show up here in this matchup if they want a chance, and they don't want to be put under the stress of having to go through another reverse sweep.
No, they wouldn't want that because right now, even though they have 2 lives, they can't risk something out of here. But it's game number 2. Let's find out if BREN Esports can get back on their feet against BLACKLIST International.
All right, so far, Edward, I don't think he was expecting a matchup against a Bene in this one.
It's like you're facing your old self.
Yeah, basically. But
I think you're super okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, you are fine with it.
Yep.
So probably right now, it's still going to be the priority of the jungle camp of BLACKLIST International. Instead of being aggressive, they're still went into the defensive side of this thing, of the things.
Yeah, they're playing it a little different here.
Yeah.
Aren't they?
Yep. You see BREN Esports utilizing the Guardian's Barrier in the first few seconds of the game to kind of put the lanes in their favor. It worked a while because you know that Eve as well as the Matilda, they're very strong in the mid lane. So at least if you have Valentina and Grok, you cannot have allow for your laners to have a better shot at the early stages. But of course, the real deal here is who gets the first turtle.
Yeah,
is it going to be the Balmond or the Akai?
Oh, it's actually a good question out of here to answer because Wise and Kyle TZ just taking the first blood.
No hesitation from Kyle TZ. Dashes straight in and lethal counter, no frills at all. And they get first blood.
Oh, level 4.
Oh yeah, look at that. Level 4 as well. Super Marco though will be answered by Wise, so maybe that's why there was they were very absent on the mid lane there.
You wonder what was the decision there from BREN Esports, but they did secure a kill in the mid lane and then maybe position themselves in the turtle. But of course they sacked their gold laner because of that play.
Oh, there you have it.
2 minutes in, Wise is quite healthy. But Kyle TZ is very adamant. He wants to get this turtle.
Pandora.
He wants it, but there will be a lock-in. Pandora's taken out. Lethal counter secures the turtle.
Yeah.
And it's a kill for the objective.
And Haji's just on fire this series. He died first, the first blood, but ultimate usage was on point. They still had to concede the turtle though because they had to commit their Akai ultimate beforehand, which meant that it's going to be a great start for the early game of Kyle TZ. The Balmond wants kills and turtles. He gets them both, and if they snowball, if they find a snowball through this, they have a chance to even up the series.
Yeah, Balmond actually answers so much for for BLACKLIST rather.
That's right.
And also translates to different things that they can actually use in taking objectives because you have the lethal counter, you have something to take your lifesteal in, and probably for Wise and Oh My Venus, it's all about how to utilize their skill set on how to activate OHEB as well.
Now, OHEB activation will take a while, and don't forget, Kyle TZ is also kind of top side. I want to see the heat map for this guy, actually. Maybe later on we'll see that.
Maybe.
But yeah, he's he's always threatening this top side, and that's very important if you are BREN Esports, because that's also the big pain point for BLACKLIST. Most of their damage, once more, is on that gold lane.
Well, speaking of gold lane here, another setup, or is this another setup for BLACKLIST? They're not attempting to get the second turtle here, but rather on the XP lane. You're seeing cut lanes all throughout the XP lane heroes, but now all my Venus being blocked by the wall. Few and Ogwin trying to spam him out.
Again, the TP's happening for the Queen.
Yeah.
It's very unnatural for me, to be honest. It's dark, so you don't notice it right away, but yeah, it's happening. And anyway, BREN Esports, their mid lane is actually very proactive. That's very good. Something that you need to do against hero like an Eve. You always keep it on their toes.
Yeah, and speaking of Eve here, the combination with Eve, Ogwin, and also Few can give a lot of space, especially for Kyle TZ. And what happened in game number 1, they want to correct it this time.
Yeah, Ogwin overall skill checking the Queen right there. But Haji this time around will have control of the real world manipulation. Don't forget, Few also has that. He's ready to cast it.
Super Marco.
The rest of
Super Marco's on the back line.
Super Marco's, he's helping. They get the turtle though, and BREN Esports will also get a kill, maybe 2. But Edward gonna be able to make it out of there alive just for the meantime with the help of Consecration.
Yep. And execute onto Pandora. Not gonna be able to finish the job. What a classic though. But BREN Esports had a wonderful execution in the turtle fight.
Oh, look at that. OHEB being the target of BREN Esports here.
BREN are using the newfound buff on that turtle to basically muscle their way on the top side. Get some of that gold from the outer turret energy shields, but that will be gone, so they're going to have to back off.
Oh, look at this. Galtizi doing what Wise actually did in the first game, going for that rush onto the Radiant Armor. He still went for the Molten Essence because it's very important for wave clearing the Balmond, but he rushed into the Radiant Armor, which is now going to be that a way to blunt the blade of Haji.
Yeah.
It's also critical against Soul Bloom, right? You see, he's barely getting any damage from Soul Bloom.
That's right.
And one thing they also need to shield up on what they're up against, especially on how Oh My Venus is rotating, but this is a 4-man not engaged up top.
You rotate around the Matilda, he's going to rotate around you.
And he's alive.
And he's alive.
Just imagine a helicopter lifting up for safety.
Gotta get close there.
Oh, they keep on doing the pokes here for BLACKLIST International and BREN Esports, just clearly giving way for their lanes.
All right, so we're in a bit of a reset here, respite from the fight.
And Pandora's actually muscling his way into
Edward. You know what? If there's a time to take out Edward, now it is. Now is the time for them to do it.
Yep, and look at this. The last pick, Benedetta for BREN Esports, paying so much for the team. It's already ahead of the Uranus, as well as clearing this bottom lane minion wave. Might be able to push the bottom lane if he keeps up, and I think he will try to commit to this.
Yeah, it's going to be 4 members of BREN, but they think it's enough to get this turtle.
Will they trap one,
Wise will have to use a heavy spin, trying to trap in the queen as Ogwyn has full vision of the whole BLACKLIST squad, which means it's a free turtle for BREN.
It's still a respect move here for BLACKLIST International. There's no point of contesting it early on this time.
One of the few times where you can see BLACKLIST International disconnected. Wise already initiated onto Super Marco, and Super Marco would have been in trouble, but...
Oh, look at this.
Wrap around.
BREN, they're trying to muscle their way into the mid lane, but looks like BLACKLIST is not having any of it. For you is actually in a very bad spot here, but he is Valentina. He'll be able to walk on out there with 2 dashes. And a pretty good defense here for BLACKLIST, but BREN, they're doing anything they want on the map right now.
Yeah, it's about pacing for these two teams right now. They're completely respecting on the consequences if they pull this off right now. In this early game, it's BREN Esports with the gold lead, but there's still a respect coming in from BLACKLIST International. Is there a window that they're waiting as of this moment?
For sure, they're going to be waiting for their gold laner, right? They need to find items, but Wise. This is not looking good for BLACKLIST. They are usually the team where all of their ultimate usages are, they have so much value out of it, but this time they're not finding any value from the Akai ultimate at all.
Yeah, that's like the 3rd time that he had the heavy spin to get out of danger.
Exactly.
And that's not a good sign. If you are an Akai, you should be using that to get those kills.
Yeah,
if you
trap one,
look at that. He's got the square.
Away.
He's the bigger He's the bigger, what do you call that, Eve right now. And there's the counter from Haji just to control those minions.
Yeah.
BLACKLIST, they're sticking with those turrets. They just don't want it to fall. Rest of BREN are going to take advantage of those cooldowns being on their side. But Ogwyn and Few and Kyle T just going in and just bullying this jungle lane.
Oh, God, look at that.
Kyle Teasy is actually putting in a masterclass of how to play the Balmond. So aggressive.
Whoa, I got confused there with the flight path there. In the end, we'll go over to Oheb, but a trade is happening on the mid. Edward goes down, trying to defend that turret on mid. And now BREN, just very healthy right now, just flexing in front of BLACKLIST.
They're on a defense mode, as I can see. There's no turrets even being destroyed by BLACKLIST International early on. So there's a window. Is the items enough now in mid-game?
I don't think so. It's not gonna be. I think that the Lord will be in favor of BREN Esports, like unanimously in this game. There should be no way for BLACKLIST International to contest this. And like I said, they're not utilizing their ultimates as well as BREN Esports are doing.
Yes.
And when they got a kill up top, it was actually a better trade for the side of BREN Esports because they have pushed the mid lane.
Will BREN try to go for a fight? BLACKLIST, they're tired of waiting. They try to go for the engage with a circling eagle.
Oh my
but
Venus.
Oh my Venus could be in trouble. No immortality. Look at the Matilda. We'll have Wise in front of him, jumping straight on to save the support.
And look at this. The reason why I'm saying that BREN Esports are taking the better trades, they just poked in the middle and are able to push down the bottom lane. And you can see Kyle TZ utilizing his ultimate is just, what, 1-0-1. But his impact in this game cannot be measured with KDA. This is always stealing the buffs
That's true. You know what? I also
Twice.
know why you disagree with the Eve pick, because now Few is using that ultimate to their advantage.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's
Oh my god.
it's few putting a mirror right in front of Blacklist International that we are you in game number 2. But what's the game plan now for the Queen? And I love what you're saying here. How can you eat a buffet if there's nothing left to get? And that's the situation of Wise right now.
Deal with this.
That
Lord.
usually happens when you're late to the buffet.
Oh,
So
yeah.
don't be late to the buffet.
Don't be late to the buffet. Wolf 2022.
It's either you go like 30 minutes ahead so you get the fresh meal of the day.
Yeah.
Something that's hot and crispy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And right
Blacklist
now-
are late.
Yeah.
Way late to this.
But what's
Slowly but surely, BREN Esports, they're pushing in, bro. They are taking the territory that is rightfully theirs. Heavy spin proc here by Wise. The rest of BREN Esports are actually just gonna respect that for the meantime, though.
Yeah, because now Blacklist International is late, but is there still something out of being late than ever or never onto this game?
Good question.
Well, if they find some pickoffs, that would be good. And you see Ohib eventually might be able to deal the damage. Problem is there's decent late game. I mean, if you just look at the late game, it's quite even in both teams. However, the mid game power spike of BREN Esports are super duper high compared to what Blacklist International can have.
Yeah.
Especially with what? A 6K gold lead?
Almost
For the set of
7,
BREN.
yes. That's
12.
impressive.
Yep.
We can say that it's a whole new level that they tried to fix. So we have a fix-it feels on the side of BREN Esports too. So
Yeah.
probably they have
Everyone
answered.
has Radiant Armor, almost.
Yeah, so right now they have solution to question number 1 on the magic damage that Blacklist International has.
That's why I felt like Radiant Eve might not be the best choice for Blacklist. Lilia or Xavier could have been the better options. Although you'll understand why they pick up the Eve.
Oh,
But it's showing so much. Well, it's not showing much. Maybe in the latter portions of the game, if you get your glowing wand and your divine glaive, maybe you can dish out the damage. But as it stands, mid-game, it's not gonna belong to Eve.
At this point, you know what? The Valentina will also lock these items in, like right
True.
there. So he's gonna have the
True.
same effect.
So right now, we're clearly onto the question on how Blacklist will have the answer for BREN Esports. They can clearly reach a perimeter right over this lord that's taken by Kyle Teasy, and they can just do nothing but look at it. And just look at this. Gwen is trying to call some shots here, blocking Wise, but Kyle Teasy gets another purple. And just what you said, this is what a Balman wants.
Yep.
Everything on the map.
And he gets it. Like I said, it's a masterclass on how to play the Balmond. You cannot play safely as a Balmond in the first few minutes of the game. You have to be assertive. Utilize your lethal counter to invade, control the turtle, and be a nuisance against your opponents. And that's exactly what Kaltizi did. What a recovery from this guy.
This is the one quiet game that you're watching right now from Blacklist International. Just a completely a big question that we wanted to answer, but right now it's the base being melted by the Lord on the last inhibitor turret down bottom.
Yeah, 2 lane pushes happening on the side of BREN Esports. A little bit of push on top as well. Pandora pick really paying off so far with the Vendetta, just making Edward work for it. And now the defense is happening. Wise could not move an inch,
Oh, there
even
you
with a
have it.
heavy spin.
Freshly picked up Demon Hunter's sword, making its way to take out the tanky Akai.
And there it is. The squares are down. Edward will take out the airfield at the very least.
Wow.
But what is happening right now? The turns have been tabled by Blacklist. At the very least, Few is in trouble here. The rest of Oh My Venus and Oheb is doing the damage on the field.
Oh, the
flicker
flicker.
in.
Oh,
What
the
the heck?
guiding wind.
They're flying in. They're going for broke. And they take out the captain of BREN Esports.
What? Matilda Airlines, man! This is a jet, a fighting jet!
What?
They were on a mission.
Let's go back to the instant replay brought to you by Samsung.
Oh my word! Look
Oh,
at that
my goodness.
distance traveled!
How did they even win the initial fight?
A
That was
flicker guiding wind combo!
amazing.
What?
Matilda Airlines, man!
That's one of the longest guiding wins I've ever seen in my career.
Yeah, we're
to be
wow.
honest.
That was a floating Melissa, and it's near Halloween. It's scary.
That was an international flight right there.
Yeah.
It definitely... Oh my Venus really wanted to fly to Jakarta.
Is that it? Is that
That's
like
what
the,
I'm feeling right
the
now.
subliminal
That's-
messaging?
Yeah, there's no other way to put it. And what's the fastest way to get through it is maybe hop on a plane and travel wherever you want.
Oh, wow. The real replay that we need to see, though,
Is how did they win that initial fight?
The initial fight.
I just want to go back.
I was actually surprised on how they were able to find Super Marco out of nowhere.
That was Edward.
That was definitely Edward,
Yeah.
of course. The last hit was coming out from the Ionic Edge.
Where is he?
We're actually looking through what happened through the replay, but it was Haji's damage output who initially started it. The thing with Iritha is you kind of need to get in front of your opponents. It was actually trapped. Oh, the damage that was from literally everyone, and as well as the turrets. So,
Okay.
All right.
A little bit of a misplay from Super Marco as well.
So they just went all in.
Yeah, so
just
it
went
looked
all
like Bren was not ready to actually, like, they were not prepped to attack which target they needed to
Yep.
do. They were spread around, as we can see on the real-time scrubbing, by the way, of Wolf
Yeah.
on the replays.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're welcome, guys.
We just wanted to go back on how BLACKLIST International just completely turned everything around.
Because that was chaotic.
That was
Overall,
very
it was
chaotic.
chaos, man.
Yeah.
Even I was having a hard time tracking who's who. At some points in the game, they just blew up. Everyone was doing damage at the same time. Oheb was actually very safe on the back line.
Exactly.
And there was no way that that Brent could dive in on the back that far.
Yeah,
and they took advantage of that.
The thing is, they fought in a place where it's in the middle of an inhibitor turret in the top lane and in the mid lane.
In the mid, yeah.
And if you think about it, just nudge yourself for a few more pixels, and you're under the base already of your opponent. So they were under so much duress coming out from BLACKLIST International's base. So I think that was definitely an overextension coming out from BREN
Yeah,
Esports.
they were
Okay.
not ready to go into the base that far away.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is one thing that we're looking after, or we're looking at the characteristic or the playstyles of BLACKLIST International is you need to finish the game completely, because if one mistake has been committed, they can totally capitalize on that and bounce back on just how they wanted to do it.
Wow, I'm actually just impressed on how BREN Esports are playing this game. They still are leading by about what, 5,000 gold?
Yes, yes.
And still have so much ways to end this game in their favor. Gonna have to be wary though, because you can see now that Haji is putting up the damage, and Ohib as well with the Melissa. I think he hasn't died yet. 2-0 and 4 on the Melissa.
I could tell that there was a little bit of overconfidence in that one.
there was.
Bren had the resources, right?
Yep.
They had the resources to actually go for it.
Yep.
It just so happened that the placement was just
Yes.
all over the map.
Yeah.
And maybe they underestimated the amount of firepower that BLACKLIST had. Maybe they thought, you know what, these guys are just defending. They are probably going to be all
Yeah.
over the map as well.
But if they have a Matilda, positioning is just always the answer for a Matilda. And this is all my videos that we're talking about, that you don't want to commit some mistakes.
All the way.
To
Oh,
be
there
honest,
you
if
have
we
it.
just look back at the draft, maybe if BREN Esports, instead of banning out the Barretts, maybe just ban out the Matilda. I don't see BLACKLIST International still picking up the Barretts without the Matilda.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, if you ban the Barretts, surely you limit Weiss. But if you limit the Queen, it's like you're targeting the hive mind instead of just a single bee, which is
Yeah.
That's a good way to attack it.
yeah, exactly.
Go straight to the mastermind.
Yeah, exactly.
The
Straight to
Mega
queen.
Mind.
The Queen Bee.
The Queen Bee.
There's no other answer to that. So
But the bees are in the BREN Esports side, by the way.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we're just talking about on who controls. Like we have a mothership. Oh, since we're talking about, we have Star Wars reference from BLACKLIST International. Let's call it the Death Star.
Yeah.
Something that controls the Death Star. So you have a core reactor, and that's all my Venus, and that's the one thing that the X-Wing has to do or to destroy. But he
Yeah.
needs to get through the hurdles of being inside the ship.
So Kyle TZ needs to be Kyle Skywalker.
Yes.
Skywalker.
And be on an X-Wing.
Yes.
Yes, and go straight into that small vent
There
that
you
is
have
not
it.
defended by anything. Why would you put a vent there?
Yeah, there you have it. That's Star Wars reference for all of you guys watching. And we're back in the game. BREN Esports and BLACKLIST International on to 16 minutes. They just capitalized the mistake of BREN Esports, but that was one thing, this is one thing actually of the Hive that needs to worry about. The positioning and the mistakes.
And in all seriousness, if you have a vent straight to a power source, always have something defending it.
Yeah.
That's very important.
Yes.
So right now, it's Positioning, well, this is the lore dance. Positioning and the dance steps will be crucial. Because right now, it's BREN Esports having the coverage from top to bottom. And we have a Benedetta, and this is Pantora.
There you go. Oh My Venus being harassed very harshly by the firepower of his Valentina right now.
Well, this is Lord number 3. And I think that BREN Esports still has the advantage. Weiss is just level 13. And of course, Caltisi does have the lethal counter.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
There you go. BREN heard you. They know they have the advantage. They're pushing hard
Who gets
onto the
Lord?
jungler. And it's going to be Caltisi with a lever counter. It's 2 for 1. 2 for 1 ultimates here for BREN Esports. And that is 3 members gone from BLACKLIST International in the blink of an eye.
BREN Esports right now just taking 3 plus the Lord. How dangerous is for BLACKLIST International right now, Wolf?
Very dangerous and very uncharacteristic as well. Knowing Weiss, he will not make that play. Many times I have seen this guy dance with the Lord, and he does not like do a desperation play. He's very disadvantaged in that fight, and normally they just don't fight those.
Yeah, and everyone from BREN just happy to dive in straight onto that very squishy Melissa, but the rest of BLACKLIST are back. They can kind of clear this.
There's no minions though.
And BREN members actually are all on cooldown except for few. So there is something that BLACKLIST can do here if they can find that error. But right now it's BREN muscling in straight into the base. There goes the real world manipulation. Lord is on the bottom side. They want to go for the finish. They want to go for the end push. There's a real word from Haji. He's clearing up
Circling
those
Eagle.
waves. Circling Eagle by Oh My Venus, just trying to hunt down Super Marco. But Super Marco is still alive. And they go straight for the base. And for the 1-1.
BREN Esports just completely getting back under feet and taking game number 2. Not minding the Queen Bee, but that is just destroying completely the Beehive. But not theirs.
The opposing.
It's a little confusing.
Yeah.
They're switching it up.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But Caltisi put him on a show in that last clash feud with his veteran maneuvers, with this stolen real-world manipulation from start up till the finish of the game. So on point. Super Marco, he eventually died twice in this game, but he also played so well. He chased down Haji during that Lord dance of BLACKLIST International. In the third Lord, it was very uncharacteristic for the entirety of BLACKLIST International to contest for that Lord. First, Weiss is level 13 compared to a level 15 jungler. And second, he is a Balmond. The lethal counter into the Retribution is just so good and so advantaged.
Yeah.
Towards the side of BREN
It's like
Esports.
2 retries.
Two
Almost.
At the same time, it
And
gives
third
you...
factor, he was so very low. So those 3 factors combined, if you think about it, it's very uncharacteristic for Weiss to go for that play. But they did. And they suffered because of that. They will have to concede game number 2 to BREN Esports.
It's just the black and yellow on had the greatest shade onto this game, probably answering the mistakes on what happened in game number 1. So we could completely say that this is a more... a bit of a faster up phasing of BREN Esports on how to attack BLACKLIST International from this point, because they were lacking the damage, they were lacking, well, the positioning, the setups were there, and the mistakes were the only window of the code to be utilized against BREN.
You know what this reminds me of? What Few did actually on the Valentina. I have to go back there.
Yeah, when it's
It reminds me of when Haji played the Valentina and then had a farce on the other side. This is exactly that.
Yeah, it's like, I'll use your weapon against you, but just much better. That usually happens with the mage to mage setup, right? And particularly in other spells. Like, for example, if you steal like Feathered Airstrike and Real-World Manipulation, you have a stronger ultimate in a way. You deal more damage. And of course, when you're playing up against a Grok with the Wild Charge and double dashes, Valentina is just a menace. And Few just reminded us how strong Valentina is.
Yeah, he's being called as the idol of the kids or idol of the children. But right now, our analysts are breaking things down on what happened in game number 2. But BREN Esports completely gave way to that fight.
Thank you, casters. BREN Esports takes game number 2, 1-1 even scoring board for this series. And it was a game na nakita na natin yung story as it went on very clearly. BREN Esports, nakuha nila yung mga early objective wins and just being very disciplined and controlled with their rotations around the map. Tingnan muna natin yung mga items though, because we get to learn a lot from how they built here. The build path for Pandora on the Benedetta this time around, hindi siya nag-petrify, so it's not more for just trying to